This woman found her toy doll in a disturbing state, so she contacted YouTuber Luan Mendes to help her.
Simbora! Já, mano. Próxima, tá bom? Bom, prazer, Luan. Pode entrar? Oi? Tem alguém aí?
Tem meu marido e minha filha que tá dormindo.
Seu marido é o Leandro.
Shared by YouTube channel blah blah, this video is trending in the Arabic-speaking YouTube community.
Ah, tá estranho, mano.
E olha isso aqui.
Tá costurado, parece.
Tudo a mão tá costurada atrás.
Nossa.
E tá com uma fralda de criança, com uma fralda de criança.
É.
Você comprou desse jeito já? Como que é?
Não, a gente tava passando.
After these guys come to take a look, they find the cellar. They hear something banging on the lid.
É você, boneca?
Ai! Nossa, pega, mano.
Falando com você, cara. Viu? Eu vou entrar.
É a boneca, Luan.
So they climb in to investigate.
Cuidado.
Dá a câmera pra mim aqui, Júlio.
Ai,
Nossa, aqui tá boa. Irmão, a boneca tá aqui.
The doll of horror is inside, but after stepping away from the horror doll for a minute, this happens.
A boneca tá do mesmo jeito. Ai, ai! Cadê a boneca? Cadê a boneca, Pia?
o que foi?
Cadê a boneca? Cadê a boneca? Tava aqui agora!
Pô, ela tava ali, irmão, ó. Pô!
It disappears. Where did the doll go? Was it possessed by something? Or did some slick soul do this to her? I have a theory. I think the doll was being used as a voodoo doll. That still doesn't explain where it disappeared to. But have no fear, the horror doll always returns.
Luan. Júlio, ela é! Ai! Ai, ela! Ai, 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 ai! Ai! Bati, eu caí! Nossa, mano!
Although you and I were probably not hoping for an encore for this one. As we've seen in past videos, animals often see things that we don't, and sometimes that can send chills down our spine. Published to YouTube in January of 2018 by the Bram fam. The video starts out tame as the Bram fam picks up a doghouse from the store. They each go about their day doing various things for the vlog, but once Bramty is home with her daughter, she starts hearing things inside the house. The uploader notes that their dog Milo started acting super spooked, staring in the hallway and outside their balcony. As you can see, the dog appears on high alert, unmoving and staring out into the darkness. He is then captured staring out into the hallway. When Louie finally returns home, Bramty says she finally felt relieved. Do you think this dog was sensing something or someone in the home? Should they, as Bramty suggested, have the house blessed? That way it'd hopefully be cleansed. Exploring an abandoned secret nuclear bunker designed for NATO headquarters? What could go wrong? That's what the crew from YouTube channel Broken Window Theory did in November of 2020. The team explains a bit about the video, writing, "In the belly of a mountain, we found this secret NATO bunker at an undisclosed location, hard to find, and even harder to enter. Naturally, the team considers it the ideal place to get trapped, as they dive right into the belly of the beast. The bunker is located in southern Italy. They arrive at the entrance, an unobtrusive cement block which they pull up to reveal the tunnel that they climb down into. The secret bunker was dug right into the side of the mountain and stretches several kilometers. As they walk deeper and deeper into the mountain, it gets colder by the minute. 200 or 300 people were stationed here in the darkness when it was active. Now, only moldy furniture and rusted pipes remain." They arrive at the fallout door, which looks creepy and foreboding in and of itself. Later, they come across a control room, as well as lists of aircraft and maps still pinned to the walls. When they come to the water reservoir, they toss a few rocks in to test the echo, which seems never ending. The echo sounds even more ominous a few moments later. almost like someone singing. After exploring a bit further, they finally climb out of the bunker and back into the 21st century. Although this bunker is a pretty epic urban exploration, it's lucky it was never made necessary, otherwise the 21st century may not exist. This YouTube clip serves as video evidence of just how daring some people can be, or brave, if you look at it the other way. The footage is likely recorded in Russia's Far East, where a large population of bears roam free, bears that have been known to wander into residential areas. In the video, one of these bears has done just that. A big brown bear is seen pacing around an empty lot, while a Russian man just sits calmly on a bench, not making the faintest effort to move or protect himself. In fact, he seems completely unfazed by the wild animal just feet from him. Surprisingly, the wild bear seems more scared of the Russian than this man is of the bear. As the bear roams closer toward him, he suddenly darts away. Though the man never moves an inch, while most people would be shaking in their britches in an all-out panic when within sight of a bear, this Russian man doesn't flinch. Maybe we can learn something from him. If you should ever be unfortunate enough to encounter this wild animal, it's best not to panic. Just don't be as nonchalant as this guy. A YouTuber named Vision Quest Outdoors is exploring the Gettysburg field when he has what he believes is a real video of a ghost sighting. The video is pretty scary and I think he could be right. Let's take a look at the paranormal evidence and try to figure out what it was he and his friends say on that night.
What is that? Oh my God. What am I seeing? No way there's a guy out here at 2 a.m.
According to the uploader, they turned around only to find the figure had mysteriously disappeared.
But they didn't move.
Swing around.
This is the footage from when they turned around, but unfortunately it's too dark to make out very much one way or another. I believe what he says is true because if I'm not mistaken, this footage is from the same location during the day. There are cannons lined up here, but no statue whatsoever. If this was the same location, then this definitely has to be a real ghost sighting caught on video. There's a haunted painting somewhere in this art gallery in Birmingham, UK. The only problem is Ted Whitehall isn't sure which painting it is, so he calls a pastor to hold an exorcism and cleanse every last one of them. Something demonic is determined not to let that happen.
Take it from this place, it has no place here, Lord, and I cast this out in the name, and I bind it in the mighty...
An angry ghost keeps slamming the door. It hates whenever the pastor talks about being cast out and keeps doing its best to interrupt him.
I cast you out and bind you in the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus. In the name of...
The persistent pastor pushes aside his fear and fires off the final words. You can hear the defeated spirit walk away.
Cast it into the pit, Lord, and bind it forever. In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus.
That could just be somebody off camera walking away, so let's turn our attention towards the chair, which Ted says is made of cast iron. Can anybody tell me if this is really made out of cast iron? If so, it should weigh a ton and be virtually impossible to move. To call this paranormal activity would be an understatement. This is one powerful painting. Question: what's scarier than a theater at night? Answer: a haunted one. Published to TikTok, this appears to show the phantom caretaker of a haunted theater. Jay says the theater is supposed to be empty, but he keeps hearing a noise, so he's searching the theater to find its source.
Alright guys, so I work at this old theater and been hearing a noise. It's a really beautiful theater, as you can see, if you can see it at all. But I keep hearing a noise in here and there's not supposed to be anybody here, so...
Suddenly, he glimpses something in an upper theater box, He can't quite capture what it is, but after backing up a bit and zooming in, he manages to focus on this. It looks like the ghostly figure of a little boy dressed in a suit. Although the image is blurry, the scary figure is distinctly there, leering out from a theater box. Phantom of the Opera? An intruder? Maybe he's just a ghost fanboy waiting patiently for the play to start. This abandoned prison castle was built in 1865 and was used to house all types of scary people. It was a transitory prison before sending prisoners to hard labor or exile. Now it apparently houses actual ghosts. Published by Toppy in November of 2021, these paranormal investigators went to visit the dark and mysterious place. Here is what they found. Outside, they walk around the wall where lives were ended. Then they head inside. The investigator notes that they say they've heard some coughing. Inside the cells, they listen but hear nothing.
Слышат кашель.
They come across strange windows, perhaps built for ventilation, lockable slots, likely to deliver food to the inmates, and a shower room.
Им дверь открыли. Ну вот. Смотри.
In one hallway, they find this figure, posed like a statue. We aren't sure what its story is, but it towers over the place like it's floating.
Это что-то с чем-то вроде.
At one point, a strange, unexplained noise is recorded as they're talking, and another sound is heard, like blowing on metal. They also hear a door bang at a distance. They say they feel like they're not alone here. Perhaps they aren't. But is their company alive or paranormal? Imagine running into this creature in a dark rainforest at night.
Gak usah turun dari situ saja. Bisa sampean turun. Sayanya soalnya yang takut.
YouTuber Only Menopore Collection Sap posted this creepy video in July of 2019. Adorned in white with pale skin and black hair, this forest dweller is the thing of horror movies. One of the brave men approaches it, his hand upheld in full view in an attempt to pacify the figure. As he closes in on her, the figure just stands, its head wagging side to side slightly. Then suddenly it sinks to the ground, vanishing from view. Later in the video, they come across some other forest being. This one dressed in white. Again, the man approaches it as it stands in place. Then it too vanishes from view. What are these ghouls of the forest? Are they good or evil? And what is their motive? These are questions better left unanswered. Dennis and Tim team up in this video on YouTube channel Nerve Paranormal, and they think this poltergeist is pushing them to do dangerous things. Upon entering the abandoned site, they find something out of place.
Угу. Что?
Ты ее не ложил-то?
Нет еще.
Его тут не было?
Не было. Блин, ты рукой показал, увидел я его и вообще.
As they explore, Dennis sees something pass by.
Или поэтому должно глаза, когда еще вспышка.
Угу.
Сделал вспышку. Вот что-то белое такое.
Угу.
Then as they enter, if that wasn't scary enough, this happens.
Надо уходить, блин.
I agree that it's time to leave, but will the evil poltergeist let them?
Не гудись, куда? Давай туда.
With nowhere to go, they try to escape from the roof. but they decide against it.
Типа ты имеешь в виду подталкивать нас на это?
Да,
На охотный лес?
да,
Слушай, а мы его тут не сможем просто?
я не помню.
They re-enter the house and leave out the window instead.
Включайся, давай. Сейчас выберем туалет.
That was a close call, and I agree with Dennis that the poltergeist was trying to drive them out via a risky route. I'm glad they didn't listen though. This next one will make anyone terrified of exploring the backwoods ever again. Redditor Mutt Magician shares this pair of creepy videos to Reddit. He writes, I was in the backwoods of Oklahoma when I found a random shed full of children's clothes and dolls. Unfortunately, this was all I filmed. The video shows a doll missing a leg and with its head and arms discolored with dirt. It seems like the doll is quite fragile because he breaks it with a small squeeze. The Redditor writes that after finding the doll, he explored further and found an abandoned shed with children's clothes, dolls, and backpacks. In a follow-up video, the Redditor takes viewers to where he found this abandoned shed. For some reason, I kept expecting a jump scare in this follow-up. While I didn't jump, I think this is incredibly scary. What were these dolls there for? Why were they in such disrepair? I have so many questions about this one, and very few answers. Dennis and Tim team up in this video on YouTube channel Nerve Paranormal, and they think this poltergeist is pushing them to do dangerous things. Upon entering the abandoned site, they find something out of place.
Что?
Ты ее не ложил-то?
Нет еще.
Его тут не было?
Не было. Блин, ты рукой показал, увидел я его и вообще.
As they explore, Dennis sees something pass by.
Или то это у меня уже глаза, когда еще вспышка.
Угу.
То есть сделал вспышку. Будто что-то белое такое.
Угу.
Then as they enter, if that wasn't scary enough, this happens.
Надо уходить, блин.
I agree that it's time to leave, but will the evil poltergeist let them?
Валь. Не грузись, куда? Давай туда.
With nowhere to go, they tried to escape from the roof. But they decide against it.
Типа ты имеешь в виду подталкивать нас на это?
Да,
На охотный лес?
да,
Слушай, а мы его тут не сможем просто?
я не помню.
They re-enter the house and leave out the window instead.
Включайся, давай. Сейчас выберем туалет.
That was a close call, and I agree with Dennis that the poltergeist was trying to drive them out via a risky route. I'm glad they didn't listen though. This next one will make anyone terrified of exploring the backwoods ever again. Redditor Mutt Magician shares this pair of creepy videos to Reddit. He writes, I was in the backwoods of Oklahoma when I found a random shed full of children's clothes and dolls. Unfortunately, this was all I filmed. The video shows a doll missing a leg and with its head and arms discolored with dirt. It seems like the doll is quite fragile because he breaks it with a small squeeze. The Redditor writes that after finding the doll, he explored further and found an abandoned shed with children's clothes, dolls, and backpacks. In a follow-up video, the Redditor takes viewers to where he found this abandoned shed. For some reason, I kept expecting a jump scare in this follow-up. While I didn't jump, I think this is incredibly scary. What were these dolls there for? Why were they in such disrepair? I have so many questions about this one, and very few answers. This YouTuber is recording the wall of his school when an all-white face peeks out from around the corner. When he goes to investigate, the supposed spirit is completely gone. The spirit itself looks very blurry and is probably CGI. Although I could very well be wrong, maybe someone with more knowledge on special effects could give me more info. A YouTuber named Muzamil Khan records his neighbor having an argument one floor up. Muzamil knows that there is only one person in the apartment, but somehow at least two voices are coming out of the same man. I didn't really hear what he was talking about until this part in particular. Listen to this and tell me if you hear multiple voices panting, breathing, and speaking at the same time. Muzamil keeps recording until his roommate wakes up and shuts the door. Later, he says the police eventually took his neighbor into custody, who by that time had removed his clothes and was acting even more possessed. It's hard to tell from this video whether this man was actually possessed or just under the influence of something, which still doesn't fully explain how numerous voices could come out of one person at the same time. If you hear this sound, run for cover. Rays of light shine upward in this video, published to Paranormal World in December of 2020. But that's not the only oddity in this clip. Turn the sound on full volume and you'll be blasted into the midst of a prehistoric jungle. The light then turns into what looks to be a winged figure, and the sound becomes more symphonic. The creature forms a sphere before its wings reappear, perhaps preparing for takeoff. The man filming takes this as his cue to leave, but judging with a creature like this, he can run but he can't hide. This video is said to have taken place in Indianapolis and was dashcam footage from a woman's car. Apparently 5 masked individuals surrounded the vehicle and took whatever they wanted from the car with the driver still inside. The creepiest part of this video, that has been freaking people out since it was uploaded, is the driver's panicked screams that are caught on the dash cam during the ordeal.
Where did you get them? Come here. What are you doing?
He walks nefariously by the front of the vehicle. Even scarier, this whole event happened in broad daylight in a parking lot. It's enough to make me think twice next time I'm out and about. Will you expect to find some creepy stuff in an abandoned funeral home? Abandoned remains are probably not among the usual suspects. Published to YouTube by RNK All Day in March of 2020, the channel writes, "We found ashes inside an abandoned funeral home that was condemned due to the funeral director leaving and hiding bodies. It was located in North Carolina. It was closed down in 2012 after client complaints. The funeral home's former owner was put behind bars for not burying the individuals. RNK All Day explores this home and its unnerving history. Amongst the creepy things found inside are Polaroids of the passed on individuals and a squatter's bed made up inside the building. But of course, the most unsettling thing they encountered was a bag of ashes in a torn cardboard box. According to a timestamp on the box, they were from 1995, meaning they've remained there for over 2 decades. Let's hope they finally received a proper burial. Unknown creatures can be startling, but none more so than this one. This clip submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by KidRob97, wondering what in the heck this creature is. Suggestions in the comments range from a bat to a giant flying squirrel to a calago, which is a flying lemur. Knowing what it actually is wouldn't make this footage any easier to watch. The creature is making one of the most agonizing sounds the human ear has ever heard while it bounds across the ground, hopping and unable to fly. The people have somehow caught the animal, which is tethered to a stick. If you've never seen this type of creature up close, this isn't the way you'd want to encounter it. People in the comments wonder if the animal somehow got stuck on this branch. However, the poor creature ended up in this position. I think we can all agree with Lisa's Matrix that this is just heartbreaking. What would you do if you came across this hairy humanoid in the wild? Published to YouTube in December of 2018, YouTuber Evangelica Salazar commented on the video. This is a duende. It's a humanoid creature that is rare and talked about throughout the years. These infamous creatures dress themselves and live in deep holes in caves/forests. If this is indeed a duende, this strange folkloric creature's name comes from the Spanish phrase duende casa, which means professor of a house. Some describe the creature as a mischievous house guest. However, in other cultures, the hairy beast takes various turns. If this hairy creature is really a duende, you'd better watch where you step.
शुरू से लेकर एंड तक देखें। शुक्रिया। ये आप देख सकते हैं धमकियों में और अजीब अजीब सी हरकतें करती रहती है। ये आप देख सकते हैं।
Ahmed knows of someone in need of his help. She's apparently been taken over by something paranormal, and he hopes to break it by reciting the right words over her bedridden figure. The orb activity picks up whenever he speaks.
ये लगता है हम इसकी ट्रेक वही कहते हैं, ये बच्ची जो मेंटल है और वही जो कहते हैं कि इसके अंदर हवाई चीज़ें और जिन्नात है।
Her gray hands have marks and worn knuckles. Her fingers are constantly flexing.
हमें महसूस हो रही एक्टिविटी है।
When she reaches for Ahmed at 3 minutes and 54 seconds, her arms are likewise discolored and marred. Something has been hard at work destroying her from the inside out. We don't get to see much of her face, but when we do get a glimpse, it looks scary and possessed. A twisted sneer across cracked gray skin at 9 minutes and 4 seconds. By the end of the session, she says something that makes him stop recording with a small sigh. Tell me what she says here to seemingly break his spirit. The possibility of this being real depends on if you believe in spirits taking someone over. Caught on tape is a scary woman, no doubt about that, but she could also be suffering from some kind of illness that causes delusions and skin conditions. This could also be makeup and some very good acting. The orbs could be from a dusty room, but the way they move over her makes me wonder if this is a real paranormal video caught on tape.
This ladder is walking down the driveway. No one's touching it. No one's around it. And it's actually walking down the driveway.
That's the reaction of Tony Dode as he videotapes a walking ladder on its own. The ladder clatters down the driveway as if someone is guiding it in short steps, but nobody is near. If you have any possible explanations for this, or have seen this before with your own eyes, then please share your experience. If no one has a proper explanation, then this is one of the most perplexing videos I think I've analyzed on this channel to date. A YouTuber named Vision Quest Outdoors is exploring the Gettysburg field when he has what he believes is a real video of a ghost sighting. The video is pretty scary and I think he could be right. Let's take a look at the paranormal evidence and try to figure out what it was he and his friends say on that night.
What is that?
No way there's a guy out here at 2 a.m.
According to the uploader, they turned around only to find the figure had mysteriously disappeared.
But they didn't move.
Swing around.
This is the footage from when they turned around, but unfortunately it's too dark to make out very much one way or another. I believe what he says is true because if I'm not mistaken, this footage is from the same location during the day. There are cannons lined up here, but no statue whatsoever. If this was the same location, then this definitely has to be a real ghost sighting caught on video. YouTuber Hidden Treasures recently moved into a new home. Little did he know what he'd find inside. He leads viewers down a hallway to a dark closet, and behind a lower shelf, there's a panel. The YouTuber says that when he pulled it back, you can kind of see some stairs. Then he leads viewers into the room next door, where there's an adjacent closet. He recalls how he went in there to investigate where the stairs led, but there's just a regular closet in this room, 3 walls and a ceiling. He said he brushed it off and continued to unpack his house. He went to put some Christmas stuff in the attic. This is where it gets interesting, he said. Once he got up to the attic, he decided to investigate if those stairs led somewhere, and in fact they did. They led to a secret room. After tearing a wall down, this YouTuber found a whole other room in the otherwise unfinished attic. This room had wallpaper, electricity, short ceilings, a closet area, a sliding door, and a mirror on the wall. He filmed the staircase from the other side, allowing viewers to see that whoever hid this room simply framed the wall in to block the staircase and access to the secret room. This is only a 1-story house, he says. You can't tell from outside that this is up here. So the question is, why was this room hidden? What was the previous owner trying to keep secret? Or who? A London YouTuber named King of Bongo is trying to explore the Queen's Hotel while staying one step ahead of a security guard. Down one of the dirty halls is a formation that King of Bongo suspects could be the Grim Reaper himself. It looks like it's sitting down facing him with its skeletal hands folded patiently across its lap. But here at 2 minutes and 14 seconds, I feel like it could be an illustration caused by 3 objects stacked together, maybe chairs. He hurries down 3 flights of steps and is searching for an exit when he hears this mystery noise coming from a few rooms over. You and I both heard something near, but a quick glance reveals only these empty rooms. King of Bongos finally meets up with his friend and explains that they are being followed. They hear footsteps that are very light and moving at a good pace towards them.
Wait, there's someone else in here, Go. Just go.
Here's the thing though, a security guard would probably announce themselves and ask if anyone was there. That never happened. So was it the security guard, or was it whatever it was that he thought he saw down the hall? This creepy abandoned house is one of the most haunted places in the UK, and you're about to find out why. YouTube team The Ouija brothers investigate. As they approach the home, they think someone is there.
Thought I seen something up in the top window then.
You might have.
Oh god.
Because the door's locked.
I honestly thought I seen something up in the window.
They continue inside, and Carl thinks he sees something.
Whoa! What? Car?
No.
Run. It just says run on mine.
That message is chilling. In another hallway, they hear 2 distinct taps.
Cough.
They hear another unexplained noise next.
You hear that?
I didn't.
It's okay.
In your room?
Just in front of me, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, I didn't make a noise. I'll check back on that.
And another.
What was that? Is that you?
You weren't me. It sounded like something coming from a cupboard.
It was like What?
I'm not sure if any of this was actual proof that the place is haunted, but I do think these mysterious sounds, coupled with what the guys saw here, may warrant further investigation. There are mysterious happenings that can be explained, and others to which there is no answer. Guess which one this mystery is? Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by EBB Puzzleheaded, and originally published to YouTube by Daniel Robb. In May of 2020, these screams in the Texan night sky are sure to set your hair on end. In the clip, the uploader explains that there's a sound in the distance, screaming that seems to be coming from the sky, and you can regularly hear the eerie screech off and on for nearly 8 minutes.
What is that bizarre sound?
The uploader Daniel Robb says this happened between 8:30 and 9:30 p.m. and that it sounded like a banshee, followed by several voices whooping. He says the sound filled the entire night sky. Others in the comments agree that it's demonic or banshee-esque, citing the end of times. Redditor I Have No Purpose in Life notes that the screams occur alongside the lightning strikes and wonders if they might be interconnected. I guess we may never know the actual answer. Have you ever felt like you were being watched? Published to YouTube by Mo Vlogs in July of 2018. This CCTV footage will spook even the bravest among us. While most of this video is super upbeat, about 10 minutes in is where the terror enters. It's then that Mo claims that he was being watched the day prior while taping his vlog, and he has the CCTV footage to prove it. He says there was a spooky person in a mask following him all day. Although Mo admits he thinks it was a prank, he pulls up the CCTV footage of the spooky lurker to show viewers what he had to contend with. The lurker appears to be wearing a black hooded robe and a white mask, walking at a gilded gate. He is seen crossing a parking lot, though it's not clear from whence he came from or where he is going. Mo says the footage was filmed that morning, not the day prior, so he surmises that the only person the lurker could be is his security guard or his mom. Prank or not, this haunting image is sure to give you nightmares. A YouTuber named Vintango says his Xbox might be possessed by a ghost, and a bunch of people in the comments are backing him up. It's opening and closing at random like crazy, and then all of a sudden it stops like it's thinking about something. When it starts up again, one commenter says that it kind of sounds like the ghost is trying to make the Xbox say help me. This video is from 2009, so the console was already up to 8 years old and possibly breaking down. Spirits try to communicate with all sorts of other electronic devices, so I guess an old Xbox is as good as anything. YouTuber Kits published this clip of a man screaming at a McDonald's drive-thru in September of 2017. Kits noted this was typical Miami and wrote that the man was shouting at the top of his lungs,
Help me, please!
This man is off it.
even though it was only 4 a.m. Absolutely no reason for this man to be screaming and throwing himself around so early in the morning, he wrote. The uploader said that before he started filming, the man in front of him was going crazy in the backseat of his car, kicking the roof of the car over and over, making it shake violently for around a minute prior to the recording. You can see the car shaking slightly in the video before the man gets out of the back seat and starts shouting into the night. The uploader claims it was substances that are causing him to act like this, and I agree with that theory. There just doesn't seem to be any other explanation. A YouTuber named Bad Choice Noah decides to live up to his name by feeding his huge collection of snakes alone in the dark at 3 a.m. He's hoping to catch something paranormal on video while he's at it, but something almost catches him instead.
Go, Ricky. Oh, God, I almost just got destroyed by him.
The large snake misses its target and nearly peels out of its container onto the floor. Noah's incredibly lucky to have pulled his hand away in time, or the snake would have had that to bite on instead. TT Mando posted this video in 2008 of his ninja cat chasing a ghost around the living room. In the description, he writes, "I've never really been a believer in ghosts, but my wife and I have 2 cats that used to always go nuts seeing things that we could not see. They would howl at the lights in our dining room and chase things around that were not there. It was really weird, so my one cat starts going nutty one night like he is seeing something. So I decided to try and shoot some footage, thinking maybe I can see what they are seeing through a camera." The video begins with the cat watching something floating in the air attentively. What is he staring at? While shooting the footage, the YouTuber switched between regular and night vision mode, which is when the ninja cat started climbing the walls. Literally. You can see that the cat has managed to climb to the top of a dresser and is looking up into the corner of the room. Whatever the cat has its eyes on must be moving all over the place because her gaze darts here and there. The cat then jumps down from its spot on the dresser to a scratching post, and then, as its eyes follow the invisible, it jumps up the wall and lands on the floor. It tries again, jumping up the door and managing to get its claws into the door frame. It looks up into the corner of the ceiling, its head still darting around. The cat hangs there for nearly an entire minute, seemingly enraptured by the ghost or spirit in its sights. Seriously, do you see anything there? Because I sure do. According to the YouTuber, a dot of light moved through the TV once he got his cat down from the door. The YouTuber points out the light that moves from the back to the front of the room. If you watch the video closely, you can see it too. The experience was apparently traumatic for this cat owner, who now sleeps with the covers over his head. A ghost in the basement of a construction site terrifies workers so much they try to avoid going down into the creepy place altogether. But one day, after all of their power tools mysteriously fail at the same time, a worker has gone exploring the haunted basement to reset the breakers. Like I said, the ghost terrifies the other workers too much to go down there with him. He does not feel safe, so to make himself feel better, he makes a video. It sounds like a good idea, except what he's caught on that video now haunts him forever. Let's run that back. He passes 2 dark and seemingly empty rooms in a long, narrow passage. In the second room, there looks to be something scary in the basement. A ghostly gray figure appears to pull itself across the cold concrete floor. He hears shuffling from behind. He doesn't see the ghost and keeps exploring the catacomb-like maze for the circuit box, which is buried in one of these dark rooms. Something in the darkness startles him moments before a strange and mysterious light. spills into the hall. When the scared construction reaches the room, he finds it is devoid of all light and the paranormal feeling is twice as strong. His reaction? Run out of the dark hallway like crazy and upload the creepy video on YouTube. He later says he was terrified to learn other workers had seen a similar flash of light after going down there and getting this strange and mysterious shape. This video from December 13th, 2019 is the only upload on his channel. No further updates on the creepy place. It looks like someone made a new account to anonymously share their scary basement video for us all to see and then probably quit on the spot by running for their lives. Driving in the Himalayas can be beautiful unless you're opposite an angry driver. Published by Extreme Out in July of 2016. This driver was descending the dangerous Rotang Pass from Manali to Leh when he crossed paths with a heavy truck moving in the opposite direction. The driver notes that everyone should be patient in such conditions because impatience can lead to lives lost. They didn't find patience in this truck driver though. The man writes that he dipped his lights on the narrow mountain road to indicate that the truck and car ahead should stop and let him pass if they had a wider road. The truck did not signal back, but the car indicated that there was space to cross and so he should move forward. After moving to the side, the car passes easily, but the truck is taking its time, which is understandable as you can see how bumpy the terrain is. However, it became clear that the truck driver apparently wasn't going to pass at all. After sitting for a moment, the uploader starts to reverse to give the truck a wider berth, and instead the truck drives right at him. He raises his hand for the truck driver to stop and then continues to back up on the dangerous road, which he notes is not easy. Again, instead of passing, the truck is directed at him. The game continues for a time until finally the truck passes. They stopped him to argue, wondering why he acted the way he did. Was it a threat out of spite, or did he really not have room to pass? From this angle, we will never know. YouTuber Chuck's Paranormal Adventures posted this video in 2016 of the family dog Emily. In the description of the video, Chuck notes that Emily often stays in the kitchen waiting for scraps of food without a worry in the world. But some days, she avoids some areas of the kitchen or won't even come in. Then, in Chuck's own words, on September 12th, as I sat down to have a snack in the kitchen, the dog was having one of those skittish moments, and I had my phone nearby so I could record it. Since I am a paranormal investigator, from time to time, we've had visitors in the house, not by invite I assure you, I believe looking for help in crossing over. But that is another story for another day. Chuck tosses the dog some food to eat, but Emily won't come near enough to the food to eat it. The chips remain on the floor, but Emily, looking around a chair, refuses to get them. However, when Chuck puts some chips in the dog's bowl, Emily eats them all up in a second. So it's clear that the dog loves chips. What's not so clear is why she's too afraid to go and get the ones set out for her on the floor as a special treat. Once she's finished the chips in the bowl, she starts walking towards those on the floor. She comes very near them, but then, as if frightened by something, backs away. She goes back to her dog bowl to see if there are any more, and then looks back at the floor chips, and then she backs away further. She even goes around to another door to the dining room and attempts to approach on the other side of the chips, but she can't convince herself to go anywhere near them. She sits in the hallway and re-enters through the other side. Then, as the owner approaches the very spot the dog won't approach, the phone's camera shuts off. Coincidence? Chuck wonders. Maybe, maybe not. The following day, Chuck records Emily visiting the same spot she'd avoided the day previously. She is no longer afraid to eat the chips there.
Same spot as yesterday. Okay, paused it a second to get some chips. And now there's the spot that was yesterday. I'm going to put the chips down and see there's the dog in the spot where she refused to go to yesterday having the little chips.
So what's going on? Chuck wonders if the spirit of an old pet was guarding the chips. as Emily used to approach their old beagle in this same cautious manner. They also sometimes hear a dog collar clank in the middle of the night, which couldn't be Emily since they remove it before bedtime. Whatever the case, here's hoping the spirit isn't something much more sinister. With the increase in home security systems, people are able to capture the most bizarre moments on what would seem to be another ordinary day. User Prometheus6EQUJ5 made a post to the r/paranormal subreddit detailing an incident that happened to him and his daughter on Thanksgiving 2020. The two of them were in the kitchen preparing for dinner late at night when a brief moment drew their attention away from the task. Without explanation, an empty bottle on a counter a few feet behind them inexplicably tips over. No one else was nearby at the time, and no movement was picked up by the camera's recognition software. On closer inspection, the bottle topples over as if it were aggressively pushed or flicked with a finger. Both father and daughter notice it, then pause in contemplation over what happened. In the Reddit post, Prometheus explains this was the first such instance that happened, and neither him nor his wife had any relatives pass away around that time. He has made several edits to update people on the situation, which provides a backstory to the events. He explains the house is over 70 years old with various owners prior to him. He says things got strange after he heard noises coming from the attic and decided to investigate. There he found an old rocking chair made for a toddler, as well as most who had owned it in the past 20 years, and all claimed to have not owned the rocking chair. He says strange occurrences started only after he moved the rocking chair into the storm shelter. There are various incidents of spirits becoming attached to objects they held dearly to them in life. Often, moving or tossing such objects can cause distress, usually the catalyst for paranormal activity. Considering the size of the chair and the minor events which transpired, it is possible the spirit could be that of a child, harmless and only causing a mild disturbance. However, with what little information we have so far, it is difficult to tell as a result of the positive response from viewers and the number of views it has garnered. Prometheus is considering live streaming the chair for an entire night. So far, this has not happened, but we certainly hope he does in the hopes of further documenting the strange happenings in his home and whether or not it is related to the chair. There's nothing more disturbing than the sound of an unexpected and unknown siren. What could possibly be impending? A tornado tearing through the town? What are we being warned about? Posted by Epic Memer Boy 0123 to the Chills Narrator subreddit, the uploader writes that he started to hear sirens randomly midday. In the clip, the sirens sound quite high-pitched, almost like a car horn beeping long and restlessly. Several in the comments suggest it's a test siren of some kind, either for tornado warnings or other emergencies. The Redditor clarifies that it lasted for around 10 to 15 minutes. Superman Connor writes, that definitely sounds too long to be a tornado siren then. When the Redditor mentions that a friend said it was an air raid siren, Superman responds those only last about 30 seconds. It seems the Redditor isn't the only one suffering from unknown siren syndrome. The Wastelander 96 writes, something similar happened near here a couple nights ago when the sirens just went off for like 10 to 15 minutes and then just stopped. Perhaps it is an emergency siren that they are testing, but for a different kind of emergency. Wonder what that could be. A paranormal investigator who goes by Bakersfield Paranormal Services sadly lost his mother and is filled with grief. Even though he is very distraught, he wants to communicate with her. He goes to the cemetery with his equipment and approaches his mother's marker. At first, he asks some basic questions and has her respond by playing with the lights.
Are you always around me and my wife and my kids? Thank you. Emotions there, Mom. Do you love my wife? Okay, I got it. I got it.
After a while, he pulls out what he calls a ghost box, which supposedly allows his mother to communicate using various radio frequencies. He believes other spirits are crowding around the box and keeping his mom from communicating.
Mom, can you please speak to me? You're trying to?
He thinks she says, "I'm trying to," but I think it kind of sounds like she might be saying, "I love you." Listen to it again and let me know what you hear during this part. When inanimate objects start taking life around your home, maybe your house is cursed a la Beauty and the Beast, or maybe it's haunted by a poltergeist, posted to YouTube by Horrifying Nightmares in January of 2013, the YouTuber explains. Last week we captured footage of a bull scooting across the table. Some said it was a string, but this time the bull flew into the air, cups scooted across the table, and the entire table shook. Noting that the video speaks for itself, let's see if it does. The video shows a little boy playing at a table. In front of him is a red bowl with something inside. The boy plays for a time without incident, but the minute he walks away from the table, the bowl slides on its own to the left. In a later clip, the same red bowl flies from the table, another blue bowl and green cup slide across it, then the table jumps up, shaken by the paranormal. Would you be interested in eating at this poltergeist table? I think I'm gonna pass. This security guard wasn't expecting to guard the shopping mall against evil spirits. Published by the Hidden Underbelly 2.0 in April of 2019, this security footage was captured at Galerías La Paz in Mexico. The Galerías has a dark history of animal and human sacrifices. It's reputed to be haunted by everything from spectral children to the lady in white. These security guards witnessed the latter. In the video, you can see the lady walking down the mall's corridor. A security guard passes right by her but doesn't seem to notice her at all. The lady appears solid but then vanishes into thin air. The uploader writes, he didn't notice anything unusual, but it was only when he finished his rounds and was back in the surveillance room that his partner asked if he had seen the woman in white. The security guard said that he passed no one, but when they watched the CCTV footage back, they couldn't deny it. Is it La Llorona? If so, this guard is lucky he didn't drown. When you enter a graveyard, you may not leave alone. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit, Scream Gaming writes, "This was caught in a cemetery when we were leaving. All four of us got chills at the time, and it felt like something left with us. In the short clip, the group is heading out of the driveway of the cemetery when you see a figure on the side of the road. According to the Redditor, they caught this creepy thing on video where in reality there was nothing, just grass and a telephone pole. Do you see it?" Redditor Treadway0311 does, writing, "There definitely was something there and then gone, but what was it and where did it go?" A YouTuber in India named Ankor Kashyap Vlogs claims to have filmed real paranormal evidence. A spooky ghost caught on tape while driving around late at night. A person on a bike is up ahead. They pull up to him and what happens next is terrifying. The narrow, unlit bridge must have claimed a life or two, because the man on the bike is suddenly no more, as in gone, vanished. He expects to pass him by, but goes through him instead. Tell me if you can see any jump cuts where he paused the camera to make it look like the man disappeared. It seems like one continuous shot, and if so, then that's just plain creepy. Claire Julian has a guest over when they both notice her paper dragon wall ornament is swaying slightly. Zoom in and you'll see the very bottom swings back and forth, hardly noticeable unless you really were looking. There's no draft and the air conditioner is not on. They aren't sure what to make of it, so Claire half-jokingly challenges the ghosts to do better, which I'm not so sure was a good idea.
You have to do better than that. Thank you.
I was thinking that this movement could have been the minute hand of the clock hanging behind it, but Claire says that this clock doesn't work anymore, and now that I think about it, I didn't hear any ticking. Therefore, I think Claire probably has a poltergeist in her home, one that she should stop challenging. A phantom drifts past, never to be seen or heard from again. Published by Tammy Jackson in December of 2019. This Ring camera footage captured something incredibly eerie in this person's yard. The footage shows a pale, full-bodied figure drifting across the yard. No features are discernible. It then appears to vanish. That's when the motion-activated lights on the garage are triggered. They shine brightly, casting light all across the yard, but there's nothing there. A house light also appears to be triggered, but still nothing else appears in the yard. Do ghosts trigger motion sensors? If not a ghost, who is this? I guess we'll never know for sure. This security guard wasn't expecting to guard the shopping mall against evil spirits. Published by the Hidden Underbelly 2.0 in April of 2019, this security footage was captured at Galerías La Paz in Mexico. The Galerías has a dark history of animal and human sacrifices. It's reputed to be haunted by everything from spectral children to the lady in white. These security guards witnessed the latter. In the video, you can see the lady walking down the mall's corridor. A security guard passes right by her but doesn't seem to notice her at all. The lady appears solid but then vanishes into thin air. The uploader writes, he didn't notice anything unusual, but it was only when he finished his rounds and was back in the surveillance room that his partner asked if he had seen the woman in white. The security guard said that he passed no one. But when they watched the CCTV footage back, they couldn't deny it. Is it La Llorona? If so, this guard is lucky he didn't drown. On the Chills Narrator subreddit, a user named Dope Island Skate continues to post all the weird things caught on camera while living in his haunted home. This time he's looking at his living room on CCTV video when creepy stuff starts happening once again on his home security system. A noise in the hallway makes him turn around. A weirdly shaped small figure is caught on camera, but he must not see it in real life because he doesn't say anything. There is no doubt that the light is moving by itself at 1 minute before he hits the light switch. He does a full 360 around it, not believing his eyes, and you can clearly see nothing is attached. Almost everyone who watched this video on the Chills subreddit thought it was creepy and real, and I don't really have a counter explanation as to how it could be faked. Nothing about this mysterious video is easy to explain, and that's why I think it might actually be real. Hopefully, Dope Island Skate continues to keep us updated, unless he decides to move out of his haunted house first, which I would completely understand. This video of the Ishima Hoyashi Bridge in Japan looks like one of the scariest places in the world to drive over and has the internet freaking out. It resembles a terrifying roller coaster more than a bridge, but I found a video of someone going over it, and while the ride is creepy, it's probably not as bad as you thought. I just wanted to show what going over this bridge is really like, since the video went viral not too long ago. The reason why the bridge is built like this is to give extra room for boats to go under. It makes sense, but doesn't really make it any less scary, especially if you already have a fear of bridges to begin with. Imagine waking up one morning and finding this thing lurking in one of the most intimate areas of your home. That's the reaction of a YouTuber named Stefani Van Tinnen and her mother upon finding a huge rat in their toilet. They start talking about how to get rid of the giant rodent and finally come up with a plan. When coaching it to jump into the bag doesn't work, Stefani grabs a glove and a towel, and with the help of her mother, finally gets it inside of the bag. Her mother runs outside of the house and puts the rat in the front lawn. My question is, do you think you would have had the courage to grab a possibly diseased rat straight from a sewer like they did, or would you have called Animal Control Services? To be honest, I probably would have contacted Animal Control Services. A YouTuber named Batchain Puller says they were watching Game of Thrones when they noticed this little girl staring into their home with a blank expression. She does not seem to be trying to get anyone's attention and seems perfectly content with staring straight ahead into a stranger's home on Christmas, judging by the decorated tree. The YouTuber says that there is an explanation for this video, but doesn't go into any more detail. Maybe they will still remember what happened all these years later. A small cluster of weird deep-sea creatures seem to be embedded inside a piece of coral that broke off and floated ashore. One of the creatures is still moving and seems to retreat from the camera upon getting sighted. I wonder what they look like out of their coral encasement, probably even scarier. Anyway, no one has identified these unknown creatures in the comments, and the uploader of this video describes them only as weird creatures at the beach and leaves it at that. So let's help solve the mystery and figure out what these are. The CCTV was taken at an office building at around 2:30 in the morning. It was noticed immediately by security because the camera only turns on when something moves. A shadowy mass starts at floor level, stops for a second, and then quickly scales up the wall, possibly continuing on to move through the ceiling itself, all while leaving no visible form of entry or making a sound. I don't know what object would have made this strange oval shadow take shape, and neither do the security guards. I think there's a strong chance that this is paranormal, but if not, leave me your best guess as to what this possibly could have been. A YouTuber named Kamadina is recording his sister and parents in a parking lot while on vacation when he gets the strange and eerie sensation that he is being watched. He turns around and walks for a bit in the direction that he feels he is being watched from, and then he zooms in. Sure enough, this pale figure stands facing him from afar.
What is that?
He turns around to go back into his hotel, but the feeling of eyes upon him returns. He turns around to take in the figure one last time, who is still standing in the same spot far away from all of the cars and everything else of interest. Their white outfit looks suspiciously bright given the low lighting.
That was weird. Wait a minute.
Kamadina hasn't a clue as to what this could be, or if one day he will see it again soon, much closer next time. Would you have the courage to enter a home in which a horrific event took place? That's how the police described this poor lady's passing, published in January of 2022. The Ouija brothers head inside one of England's most haunted abandoned homes, in which a woman is said to have had her life taken using a device to speak with the spirit. The guys ask what her name is. Her answer gives me chills.
Could you tell us your name?
Blood.
Blood? Blood? Blood then. Bit of a funny name, isn't it? Remember that, like that lady? Yes, Blood.
Then, as a cameraman is backing out of a room, they capture a strange hissing noise.
Oh, I ain't going in there, man, because they'll make me ill for days.
Later, they're in another room when out the door, they see a light. It starts getting brighter, and then they hear something clatter.
Look, mate, can you see it getting brighter? It is. Hold on. Okay, mate, hold on.
Is this the ghost of the woman whose life was taken in this home? Or, as Sue suggests in the comments, did the events of this poor lady's life imprint on the house? Skiers beware. Sometimes the snowbank is deeper than it appears. Posted to Instagram by Chris J. Fish. This GoPro video shows viewers what it's like to avalanche yourself. The skier is seen traveling over a snowy hill between two trees followed by some rocky crags. After overtaking the rocks, he immediately drops feet down into the snow. He is seen frantically trying to dig himself out. After what seems like an eternity, he spots a glimmer of sky above, as someone on the surface is also digging frantically to pull him to safety. Chris says this is the first time he's been completely buried. He writes in the comments, "I started to panic a bit as soon as I inhaled a whole bunch of snow. My entire throat and mouth were full and definitely had a bit in my lungs." He goes on to explain that his friend was staged nearby to rescue him if this happened, which anyone who's skiing across unknown territory should do. Did this scary event stop him from future skiing? Nope. He writes that as soon as his breathing returned, he was off again. Chris asked if we would include this PSA. He writes, "The rule to dropping from big cliffs into bottomless powder. Have someone close by to dig you out if you get buried." I'm thinking I'll stick to the bunny hill. Thomas Gilmer runs a computer store and often buys old computer equipment from his customers on the cheap. This time he gets a computer at a bargain price, and when he pops open the cover, he immediately understands why the seller was so quick to part ways. The inside is covered from end to end with the remains of thousands of dried up cockroaches, and to top it off, a single living spider crawls across this disgusting bug wasteland.
Look at that.
According to the description, the smell of the computer was just as repugnant as the site itself. All I know is that Thomas better hope that none of the bugs were alive and managed to scurry away. A single living roach could go on to infest this building as easily as it did this previous owner's home. Think you have creepy neighbors? Think again. Posted to the WTF subreddit, Protomancer writes, "Just someone slithering through my neighbor's yard in the middle of the night." That description about sums this clip up, but let's take a look at the Nest camera footage. A stranger is seen lying on its stomach on the ground outside this person's home. After a moment, he starts moving in what is well described as a slither. He could actually be crawling, with the camera distorting the movements into something even creepier. Not that army crawling across your neighbor's yard is normal at all. Well, some Redditors think the dude is just playing night crawlers. Others think the guy is on something. One Redditor, however, shares another possible theory from first-hand experience. Chordophonic writes, "Quite a few years ago I had something similar happen, though I was several lawns away. The dude finally stopped on my lawn and we called 911 because he'd been caught with some other dude's wife, and it turns out her husband put a round in this guy. I kind of hope it's one of the first two scenarios here." YouTuber named Tracy is recording a video at the Hedingham Castle in England while on vacation with her husband. The voices and footsteps of other visitors easily carry throughout the castle, but it's just good acoustics, and they are not nearly as close as they sound. Anyway, look what happens while Tracy is standing motionless next to her husband in a large room all by themselves.
Not sure, but I think I just saw a shadow walk across the wall.
A shadow clearly passes across the wall in front of them, but as Tracy pans the room, you can see that no one else is present. None of the windows or entrances completely line up, yet the shadow looks very human in nature and appears to be coming from directly behind them. YouTuber Extinct File encounters the ghost of the Poco Aunties in this creepy video. As the team explores the abandoned place, they spot the ghost in a doorway.
No mames. No inventes, güey. Cámara 2. Güey. Hola.
A little further along, they capture an unexplained sound.
No puede ser, güey. La madre.
And then another. They believe the spirit here was pregnant.
En el estómago. Quizá estaba embarazada, güey. Estabas embarazada.
They then hear wailing in the distance. It continues for minutes. After a while, the crying stops, but then starts up again. And then this happens.
¡Ay! ¡No mames, güey! ¡No mames, cámara 2! Güey, ¿qué pedo? No mames.
When they enter the enclosure, the figure is gone. Where did she go? I'm convinced they truly encountered the ghost of the Pokuantes, and if they did, they'd better hope these spirits didn't attach themselves. A mother is mourning the loss of her child when a single white balloon floats over to her from his casket. Relief washes over her as she soon realizes this is almost definitely a sign of reassurance from her lost loved one. Look again and you'll see not only did this balloon start from her child's casket, it was also in front of a picture of him as well. It really is as if he is sending her a balloon to cheer her up and let her know that he still cares for her from the other side, perhaps even as a final gesture to help her let go. A TikToker named Mark Anthony catches this strange activity at a post office after hours. Some kind of hanging display swings all by itself while an identical display stays still. I think it could just be blowing under an AC vent, but then again, in the very beginning you can see all of the other wall displays in the other doors stay still. So it is weird that out of all of these, only one moves. There's nothing like Russian dashcam videos. They're usually next level crazy. This video clip is no different. A red Volkswagen is seen cutting off the driver with the dashcam and another car in front of him. So when they reach a red light, the driver decides to rev his engine and pass the Volkswagen. Big mistake. After they pass him, the Volkswagen speeds up again to pull around the driver and cuts him off, blocking his way forward. Then a man dressed in black gets out of his vehicle to confront the dashcam driver. After a very brief exchange of pleasantries, the Volkswagen owner opens the trunk of his vehicle and reaches for a golf club. Apparently, the faintest confrontation in Russia on the road can lead to brutal results, of your vehicle at least. Things have been known to quickly escalate on the Russian roads. While exploring this haunted place, YouTuber Rodolfo Augusto and his crew are trying to escape the creature. Let's see if they do. They find a mysterious jar inside the home, but as they're examining it, a bang is heard.
Alguém abre?
Não sei. Opa, cacete.
Quem tá aí?
Eu acho que é o vento, mano. Tá vendo? Ó, olha ali, ó.
They try to open the jar, but again hear a noise.
Não é vento, não.
Você vai tacar um negócio?
Foi reação.
They push this door open, but are too scared to enter.
Será que tem alguém aqui? Oi! Isso aí não é vento, não.
And yet it won't stop.
É vento.
Que é aquilo, velho?
Que é aquilo ali na porta?
Eu não vou lá fora.
That's when they finally see it.
Eu vi.
That's all I need for my dreams to forever be nightmares. A small bluish figure briefly hovers outside of a home before disappearing out of sight. It's hard to say what this is, or even how close the object even was. On one hand, it looks like it could just be a strand of hair, but the way it hangs around for so long is quite strange. This object was also somehow able to activate the doorbell cam, so it must have had some mass to do it. The person who uploaded this video claims that it's a ghost, but let me know what you think this mysterious object is. Even with video evidence, I still can't fully tell. A YouTuber named Shavir Joffrey has been hearing loud knocks and other strange noises at night, so he decides to half-jokingly ghost search around his house for fun. Nothing happens until he starts talking about what he is going to do to the ghost when he catches it. Do you think this is paranormal or just a friend off camera?
You know, any ghost that comes in, game over, my...
Did you hear that? Did you?
Okay, so that might not be enough to convince you, but as soon as they crack more jokes, they hear a slight scraping noise, kind of like somebody breathing through a straw, and this time it is right by them. I think there's another part that they might have missed. Do you hear someone take a breath here?
And be like, I think...
Buckle your seatbelts. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit. This video is apparently forbidden in most countries, and it's clear why. The footage shows two lit up objects in the sky. They're both moving slightly, with one of them moving a bit faster than the other and in different directions. The lights blink as the unidentified flying device on the bottom moves up towards the one above it. Suddenly they fuse and it sends a shockwave through the sky like a bolt of lightning. What in the heck just happened here? The uploader stumbled across the freaky forbidden video in the summer of 2018. Some think it's most likely a clip from an indie movie. Redditor The Lovely Raven 313 points out, if this actually happened, the media would be on it. Many agree with this sentiment, while some are willing to suspend their disbelief when asked what it is. The Redditor admits he doesn't know. That's why I'm posting this, to try and solve the mystery, he writes. Can you solve the mystery? I'm at a loss here. A YouTuber named Fauzi Ki Danaya of Pakistan has caught some creepy things on tape while exploring a haunted building that used to be a school.
ये मेरे लिए एक फायदा है। ये भाई क्या मुसीबत है अंदर।
It doesn't take very long for the scary stuff to begin.
ये मेरे चला खैर इसको। क्या आप जिन हो? ओए ला 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 ला। ओए कैसी आवाज़ है यार?
His ghost meter detects a presence in this room shortly before the paranormal activity ramps up a lot and a window slams shut on its own.
रात में नहीं हुई। इस जगह पे जो भी चीज़ मौजूद है, ये कैमरा भी घूमे जा रहा है, ब्लर क्यों हो रहा है बार बार? क्यों ब्लर हो रहा है ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा मुझे।
A final loud crash sends him running out of the building to see what's making all of the noise. All he finds is a stray cat outside, which he suspects is a shape-shifting djinn because no cat would walk towards all that commotion. I'm not so sure about all that, but I do think it's strange how this classroom is the only place where weird haunted things get caught on camera. Exploring the rest of the haunted school reveals no other paranormal activity, just whatever's by this window. Pete Privy is perfectly piloting a drone in the parking lot, at least until the time comes to land. His friend is demonstrating how to grab one out of midair, but he turns around while talking, and a propeller socks him right in the eye. At 10 seconds in, you can see his friend grab his face and then stumble away in surprise. Someone hurries closely behind, ready to catch him if he passes out from the blow, and the video ends. This picture shows how closely Pete's friend came to losing an eye. I think a hit any higher would have cost him his sight. As Pete says, the moral of the story is that caution is always required around drones, so never let your guard down unless you want to look like this. This creature in the sky is unidentifiable, but it's got 6 legs. We originally came across this video on the Spanish-speaking Scary Video community in June of 2019. The thing appears to have a pin head, multiple crab-like legs, and finally wings. As you can see when it takes off from the tree branch it's crouched upon. The creature looks extraterrestrial. It's certainly something nobody has seen on Earth. Whatever it is, you don't want this monster hiding under your bed. We managed to track down the original source, and this turns out to be a CGI creature made by the Nicaraguan YouTube team, JJPD Producciones. So if you come across this video because it's spreading all over the internet, now you know its true origins. Thank you so much for getting me to 30,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 40,000 subscribers next. Thank you.